beloveds. I wanted to give the thing a time to come on. So this is my last sick day. I called him this morning and he didn't answer. And then, because I don't go grocery shopping with Tom very often. Honestly, I couldn't tell you the last time I was in the grocery store. I said, just put it off a little bit. I'll go grocery shopping with you. I'm obviously they're not planning on me coming to work today. But I called my job this morning and he said, look, I feel a whole lot better. I said, the cough is almost dry, and nowhere near what it was. So hopefully I did the lozenge in the water thing. But, yeah. Now, I do not work on Saturdays, although I did agree to help somebody with a speech preparation. And then I did, and then my intention is to go see a play on Sunday, which is in a park. So, but rest. Because I did wake up feeling a whole lot better this week. So hopefully my voice holds out. We'll see. He did call me back while I was at the grocery store, but fortunately it was a place where I could walk out and talk to him. And I didn't tell him I was at the grocery store. So, but yeah. All right. So we have an interesting title today. I say that a lot, but they have lots of interesting titles, right? So it's April 19th. Our title is Imagination. Our author is Ella Pomeroy, and this is from Powers of the Soul from 1948. So, imagination. Imagination is not mere fancy, nor is it a vain ability to picture or create fantasies without relation to life. It is not necessarily unreasonable, nor does it always produce idols and other types of stupidity. Imagination is the ability to conceive, draw together, to inspire the mind with a sense of newness. It is the mind's exercise in foreseeing results in material form. It is the gift from which people combine separate bits of information or feelings into wholes and bring forth formed ideas, formed lives, policies, and philosophies. Imagination reveals that a thought planted in the mind is like a seed. It is an inner power which brings vague ideas of future matters into clear outlines. An invisible process of gathering together that which takes place on the inner side of life before a conception can be born. Imagination is God's power to conceive form in infinite variety, to bring such conceptions to birth, to combine conceived forms into new and different forms, and so fill the world with shapes and materials adapted to God's own purposes. Imagination is the mind of God. In the mind of God is an idea of form. Imagination in people is the power to exercise, control, achieve conception. If you want interesting quotes on imagination, Google anything that Albert Einstein said about imagination. One of the things he said was worry is a misuse of imagination. And then there's another one about imagination taking you everywhere. Like knowledge will take you so far, but imagination will take you everywhere. I'm paraphrasing that quote. I don't have it quite right. But that's the point of imagination. And there's been some interesting research as of late about imagination. Think about it in the visualization. I've been reading a book by Dr. Akil Palisamy. It's called The Tiger Protocol. And one of the things that he was talking about the research. He didn't quote it. Now, if I went back and looked, he probably would show you in the book, or you could go look it up. But I've seen it before because when I was doing research on running, it's like if you visualize your body doing various exercises, they've actually shown that your body will improve. Like if you do weightlifting, visualize doing weightlifting exercises, your strength will improve, without you ever actually having to do the exercises. And then the reason he was talking about it was because from the standpoint of an autoimmune, there are certain things that some people can't do. And so he was saying, well, if you can't do them now, visualize yourself, imagine yourself doing them. And because research has shown that the body will improve. And that's what Ella's talking about here. It's like, imagination is not just a flight of fancy. It can be and should be, that's not a misuse of imagination to imagine wild stories. I mean, where do you think authors come from? They use their imagination to imagine all these wild things, or not so wild things, depending. So, your artists and your authors and your movie, all of the movie people, involved, your costume designers, your makeup artists, they all use imagination to create these things, these fantastic and wild things. And what it brings me to mind of is Star Trek. I grew up on Star Trek, like literally grew up on Star Trek. My parents watched Star Trek and Star Wars and all of this. And so what I find really interesting is when you look at the communicators from the original Star Trek, well, those are flip phones. And then if you look at the Star Trek The Next Generation, which is the one that I remember, watching, the original one's a little older than me, so, I watched it in reruns. But the Star Trek Next Generation, I watched that live. I am that old. So, iPads, 3D printers, all of these things that these writers imagined that we would have in the future, and we do, Back to the Future. We still don't have flying cars, but we do have hoverboards. So that's that thing. It's like, we have to be able to imagine it to then bring it into our lives. And so when we do treatment, that's exactly what we are doing. We are imagining, we are trying things on. It's like, that's why we stated in the present tense also. It's like, we're trying it on. How does this feel? How does this feel? Because sometimes we will do a treatment about something. We'll try it on in the treatment, and then we get to the end of the treatment and it never materializes. And it's because we realize it's not what we want. We may be close to what we want, but it's not what we want. And so then we go back and we imagine something different. That I remember, and we did a soul session with Tracy Brown, and Jesse's talked about this too. One of the problems, and I'm going to say the problems with peace, is people imagine peace to be boring. So we need to come up with a better, imagine of what peace could be, where it's not boring. And I don't imagine peace to be boring, because I think that peace is filled with music and arts and, all of that, the dynamic theater and things like that. So, but, it's like the imagination gives us the power to try things on in our life. If I imagine, well, what would this be like? Then I can try it on in my imagination. And then if I like it, great. Then I can take actual physical steps towards whatever it is that I'm imagining. And if I don't like it, then the good news is that I haven't lost anything other than a little bit of time. And even that time's not wasted because now I know what I don't want. So, and that's the power of imagination. We are uniquely, it's a unique power of imagination and the amazing things that come out of imagination. And the fact that we can actually use it to improve our bodies. We can imagine. I remember one of the classes that I took while I was in ministerial school. And one of the things they were talking about was when people who were going through, like, I'm going to use the example of cancer treatment. What they had them do is imagine their immune system. And then they could imagine and the example they gave was like military guys tended to imagine their immune cells as Green Army men, going out and with their, that's a total Toy Story for me, going out and fighting. Sometimes if you get like theater people, they'll imagine their, immune system as knights on horseback with lances, getting in there and slaying the bad cells. Sometimes when I'm thinking about my immune system, it's like, I'd like to imagine my immune system as dragons. It's all the little dragons, and then they coalesce around the virus or whatever it is that I'm fighting, and they're just shooting fire at it, just burning it to crisp. So, and they've got scientific evidence showing that works. That works. So your imagination is this powerful tool that we can absolutely use in our spiritual lives. What is it that you want? Imagine it. Sit down and visualize it. Imagine it. If you are any sort of artist, draw it, paint it, sing it, write a poem about it. I would, photograph it, or bless Janet Carmen. She taught a class where she would get all kinds of magazine pictures and have you create spirit cards, that would visualize what what it was. And then there's always the spirit boards. What are they called? The boards, vision boards, which again, you can use magazines and pictures and what have you. The first time I ever made one, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here, but this is fun. So I've made one vision board my entire life while I was in ministerial school. So, but I have a very vivid imagination. So, I'm constantly creating that vision board. What do I want this to look like? What do I want this to look like? And then I go and look for real world, components and to build my vision, to build what I've imagined. And so it is a powerful tool, and it is a spiritual tool, and it is not just a flight of fancy. But as I say that, there's nothing wrong with it being a flight of fancy too. That's how artists work. They create these beautiful things out of, and every time I say that, all I can think of is, well, Stephen King. But again, he uses his imagination to create these absolutely horrifying, but he's made a lot of money and people really like his work. So, the imagination is a gift. It is a tool, but it's also a gift. And don't ever let anybody make you wrong for using this amazing gift. Because every time you practice it, you get a little bit better at it. So, and I completely agree with Ella. It is a phenomenal tool, and we should, and God uses it too. God uses it too. I love that. She said, imagination in the mind of God is an idea of form. Imagination in people is the power to exercise control and achieve conception. Imagination is God's power to conceive form in infinite variety. And to combine conceived forms into new and different forms, and to fill the world with shapes and material things adapted to God's own purpose. God uses imagination too. So, and she said, imagination reveals that a thought planted in mind is like a seed. And that right there, It's like every time you plant that seed and then you go back and you look at it and it's gotten a little bit bigger and you add more to it and you fertilize it and you add things to it. And it's just phenomenal. And I commend imagination to you. So imagination is the ability to conceive, draw together, to inspire the mind with a sense of newness. So the mission today, should we choose to accept it, is exactly that. Let's use our imagination to conceive and inspire something new in our lives. And you can use it to create a new idea, to create a new work, to create a new art, whatever it is. Use your imagination. Delight in your imagination. Delight in your imagination. And use it, because like Albert Einstein said, imagination will take you everywhere. Knowledge will take you so far, but imagination will take you everywhere. All right. The other mission is the same mission I give you every day, which is the spiritual practice of self-care. Do something loving for yourself. Do something kind for yourself. Do something compassionate for yourself. The most loving, kind, and compassionate thing I could do for myself was, I probably could have gone to work today, but they have it covered. I'm going to spend this day, I've got 3 more days to rest so that by Monday I can hit the ground running. So he said, everybody's asking about you. And I said, yeah, probably because of all the work that I do that nobody notices that everybody else has had to do. So, but I'm glad that they miss me. So I look forward to going back. But I enjoyed taking this week to rest. I don't do enough of that. Yeah. So, which is, probably why I ended up sick. It's like a dear friend of mine who's no longer with us. That's what she said. She learned a very long time ago never to say she needed a vacation, because as soon as she said she needed a vacation, she'd get sick. So I'm like, no. So, all right. Loving, kind, compassionate. Practice on yourself. You are your own best test subject, but the most important reason is you deserve your own love. You deserve your own kindness. You deserve your own compassion. So in the end, the goal is that everything you do for yourself and others is loving, kind, and compassionate. That's how we create a world that works for everybody. So, by practicing on ourselves, we do our inner work. All right. I don't want to start that and not be able to stop. So let me wrap this up. I'm going to remind you that we are Creative Life Spiritual Center, Creative Life Spark. I'm the running Rev Ryan on the social medias that I am on. I encourage you to go ahead and go like and share and subscribe and follow and do all that stuff. It is an easy way that you can support us, and all it costs you is a click. You're welcome to comment as well. I'm finishing up this book this month, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm taking on a project of, I'm going to read the Science of Mind text. I'm just going to, set myself a timer and read so much each day. And then I'm going to archive it, and I'm going to archive it on both channels. I will archive it on the Running Rev Ryan YouTube channel, and I will archive it on the the Creative Life one as well, so that if you have a particular passage, and I probably will not do commentary unless I just can't stand it, because occasionally Ernest will say things that I'm like, what? So, but that's my next project. So I hope y'all will tune in for that. And then I will also pop in with some of his little books, because I found out that a whole lot of this stuff there's not audible versions. And I'm mildly dyslexic, and I get it. So that's, reading is not always the most fun. So I'm like, I'm going to create this. I'm going to create this body of work so that it will be accessible to people. All right. So, and then if you want to know what else is going on with the center, please email info@creativelife.org. That'll get you on the constant contact. And our website's back up. Yay. All right. And now I'm at the part where I get to encourage you to have a great day, a wondrous day, a fantastic day, a magical day, an enchanted day, a wonderful day, an awesome day, an amazing day, a Friday, we get to go to the park tomorrow day, a take care of business day, a wrap your week up day, a do what you need to do day, a use your imagination day, have that flight of fancy day, think about something you hadn't thought about in a while day, create something beautiful day, a good day. And if that is too much pressure, simply have a day. You are enough just as you are. You are a beloved expression of the divine. You are a brilliant light, a divine spark. You are spirit in motion. You are God in action. Or, as Reverend Jesse likes to call us, you are a godling. All right, beloveds. I like to remind you to explore the truth of your being, because there's one promise I can make you. It's the only promise I can make you that is not a pie crust promise. If you don't know what that is, go watch Mary Poppins. The person that the divine knows you to be is good. And from there, anything is possible. All right, beloveds. I like to say here where I move into the process of my day, but the process of my day is to rest and get better. So, I will remind you that Reverend David will be on around 5 p.m. with you. I will be back with you around 9 a.m. tomorrow. Take care of yourself. Know that you are loved, and I will see you next time.